From the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, this is EntreLeadership, where I take calls from leaders like you about what it takes to win at any stage of business and leadership. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host with over 30 years of experience leading in the trenches right alongside you. If you've got a question, we'd love to have you. Fill out the form at entreleadership.com/ask or give us a call and we'll get you on the show at 844-944-1070. That's 844-944-1070. So here we are, the beginning of a brand new year, 2026. Can you believe it? Man, something about a new year that's a clean slate, a fresh start, represents grace and mercy. Everything's in front of us, nothing's behind us. That's why they have the baby as the new year, right? It's the image that we have. What's interesting is how you approach the year and what you believe about the year is going to determine your results as much as how brilliant you are or how lucky you are or whatever else you believe in for destiny. I remember being at a motivational seminar 1,000 years ago, and the guy told the story about perspective and the way we approach things. He said there was a guy who had been out of a job for years, and he was really struggling, and he finally got an interview with this great company in New York City. It was the job of a lifetime, the job of his dreams, and he was really intimidated and really worried about getting the job. So he flies to New York and he checks into the hotel room. And just as he's getting ready to walk out the door the next morning to go to the interview, nervous, sweat in the palm of his hands, heart's beating a little fast, the phone rings in his room just as he's walking towards the door. And he stops and he picks up the phone and it's his wife back home. And she says, "Honey, I got great news. You don't have to go on the interview. I just won $1 million on a lottery ticket. You don't have to go. We got $1 million." And he said, "Well, yeah, that's awesome." He goes, "We'll celebrate. This is amazing. This is a cool moment in time." And he goes, "But I'll tell you what, just for the fun of it, just for kicks, I'll go do the interview." So he goes to the company to do the interview. And as you might imagine, he's in a little different posture. He's relaxed. His heart's not beating. It's not life or death. Matter of fact, he may not even take the job if they offer it to him because he's got $1 million, right? And probably because of his posture, the way he was thinking, the position of his heart, the interview went exceedingly well, and they made him a job offer beyond his wildest dreams right on the spot. And he said, "Well, I'll have to think about it. I need to talk to my wife, and I'll call you guys later this afternoon and let you know if I need to take it or not." He didn't mention the $1 million. Got back to the hotel room, the phone's ringing again. He picked it up, and his wife said, "Honey, I made a huge mistake. I found out that I had read this wrong, and we did not win anything. We do not have $1 million." So what had changed? He never really had the $1 million. But his perception, the attitude, the altitude, the positioning of his heart, the way he walked into the job interview changed because of what he believed his future looked like. He went from glass half empty to glass half full, or completely overflowing, whichever way you want to look at it. And he wasn't arrogant or cocky in a way that was just off-putting, but he had just extreme confidence. But he actually didn't have the money. As a matter of fact, he never had the money and was never going to get the money. But it changed his whole approach. So what if 2026 was your job interview? What if the year was what you've got to look forward to? Because it is. And what if you approached it as if you had already won, rather than approaching it from a position of scarcity and stress and anxiety? Those things are all real in business. We all get the crap beat out of us in this world called leadership. But what if you approached it this year as if this was a Monopoly game, and I might be a little ahead or I might be a little behind, but it's not life-threatening. And I can just sit here with a pleasant smile and a straight backbone and some courage and approach our conversations completely different. I think that's what I'm going to do for 2026. I'm going to approach it as if I've already won. Why don't you join me in that? Our phone number here is 844-944-1070. And you can join me here too. That's 844-944-1070. Sam is in Oklahoma City. Hey, Sam, what's up in your world?
Hey, Dave. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure, man. How can we help?
So I'm the head of operations and third generation in our family's manufacturing company. Last year, we had $4.2 million in revenue and have 22 employees currently. Last year, my dad had some serious health issues and now wants to partially retire and transfer full ownership to me.
Wow.
Yeah, we're now in the process of trying to figure out our succession plan, but can't seem to come to an agreement on his compensation after the transfer. What he's wanting, I think, is going to financially break our company, and I can't get him to see my point of view. So the question is, how do I honor and take care of my dad in his retirement while keeping our business financially healthy?
So he doesn't have any money?
Not a lot in his retirement account, no.
Yeah. So he's depending on this to eat?
Yes.
What's he make now?
Now it's salary is at $140. $140 a year.
And what's he wanting?
Salary, benefits, and the rent comes out to just under $500.
You're already paying all that?
No, we're not the rent right now.
You're not paying rent?
Well, it's his property.
All right. Well, when you get the building, when you get the property, you don't get the building.
Correct.
Okay. And so we're increasing the expenses by $350,000 a year.
Yes, sir.
Well, what kind of profit did y'all make on the $4.2 million?
Last year we made just over $600,000 in profit.
Okay. All right. The rent sounds high. I mean, if you went to rent that building, would it cost that?
No, it's the rent plus the increase in salary and profit sharing that he's asking for.
Okay. All right. Well, it's not dishonoring to keep a company because if you go broke, you can't pay him.
Yeah.
And if he causes you to go broke and you can't pay him, he cut his foot off. He cut his own foot off, right?
Yes.
So that's a math thing. Is he that bad at P&L?
I would like to not think so, but I just can't get him to see it from my point of view and look at the budget with me.
Yeah. Okay. So what would be the market rent on the building?
Market rent is about $12,000 a month for all the buildings.
So it is $360,000.
Yeah.
No. $12,000 a month. That's $144,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. I did it wrong. Okay. All right. So, and he's making 140 now, so that would be 300. But he wants 350.
Yes. Yeah. The new salary go from 140 to 280.
But he's giving you the business for free.
Yeah. The transfer. The child transfer. I don't remember what it's called.
Okay. All right. Well, it's not going to break the business for the business to start paying $144,000 in rent, and it's already paying him $140,000. The other crap involved probably could be blown off, another $50,000 in odds and ends. But it actually made $600 while paying him 140.
Yes.
Okay, so if we deduct 144, if we deduct 200 from that for 144 and his other miscellaneous crap he wants, the profit sharing stuff, then you still have 400,000 profit, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, theoretically.
How old is he?
He's 56.
Wow. What's he going to do with his life?
He wants to travel and go do the things with his wife and go have fun.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because I mean, we are giving Gen 2 the business for free at Ramsey, but a lot of families have a buyout where Gen 3 or 4 or whatever buys the generation out from before based on the valuation. Any idea why you guys are not doing that?
We talked about that, and my sticking point was I didn't want to go into debt for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So instead of going into debt, you're going to pay him $140,000 for the next 30 years.
It's looking like that.
Plus rent.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're not getting the building for free.
No. Even if I bought the business from him, I'd still have to pay rent on top of that.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you bought the building too. Yeah. Okay.
True. Yes.
All right. Well, I don't think it's breaking the business. I disagree with your assessment. I do think, and you don't have to dishonor your dad to get a good, reasonable financial deal. That does not bring harm to the business. And the biggest problem I've got here is I want a long-term lease at this rate. I want to lock this rate in for a long time, so I don't have to have this discussion again. I don't want to do any of the profit sharing, and I would pay him $140,000 a year income, $150,000 a year income to make it even. Okay. For a set number of years, and then I'm done.
Okay.
So then all you've got is building rent after that. Okay. And we've locked the building rent down at market value 2026, not market value 15 years from now. So you got a good rate on it. In other words, you got a sweetheart deal. Yeah, and get rid of the profit sharing stuff, because then when you go make a bunch more money, every dollar you make profit goes to you, because his is all fixed now. That makes sense?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I'd pay him $150 and I've got a figure in my head, something like 10 years, but if it was a little longer, that'd be fine. But, not 30 years. That sounds too much. 20 years is stretching my imagination. So I'm making this up, though. I don't have anything to base it on. I'm just sitting here thinking, if I were in your shoes, how would I feel? Trying to think about if I was in his shoes. But he's got $300,000 a year to live on and travel, and that's his only income as long as you stay open. If you run the thing in the ground, he gets nothing.
Yeah. I'm trying not to do that.
I know. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to think from his perspective. This is like his pension.
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel like it's going to break you guys. It adds $150,000 to your bottom line, off your bottom line from the 600. So you still make 450. Right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Yeah. How's that feel to you?
Definitely different approach than what I was thinking about.
What were you thinking about?
I was trying to take his numbers that he gave me and try to find the floor, and I was hoping we meet somewhere in the middle. But trying to make him happy at the same time. That's what was my big conundrum.
Yeah, him being happy is his decision. But Dad, I'm trying to, and I would just be very open and say, I'm trying to balance between my need and my want to honor you and to make sure you and Mom are okay, but also not handcuff this place on growth and on getting to go on to the next level. And It feels like some of this other tinker toy stuff you've got in there is handcuffs to me. So it feels very clean to just pay you $150 for 10 years or something like that, and then pay you rent on the building for as long as we are in the building.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Just the cleanliness of it. And I don't think, number one, he can't afford to walk away with nothing. He didn't have any money.
Yeah.
I mean, if he has no salary from the business and no rent, he's got no money. And at 56, why would he quit? I'm going to continue to work. Oh, and by the way, I run the business, so I'm going to start charging rent to the business and putting that in my pocket since I own the building and it's separate from the business. And get this business used to paying rent. And I'm just going to sit here and cash out $300,000 and stay. That's another option he could do, because he's retiring pretty early.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you'd kind of figure that way. Because at 66, then he would only have rent money if you did 10 years, right?
Yes, sir.
Interesting discussion. I don't know if I'm helpful or not, but I'm just kind of thinking through the numbers with you and looking at the impact on you, the impact on the business, profitability, the impact on your dad, looking at where he's coming from and trying to find that ground. But people who are bound and determined to be unhappy, Sam, are going to be unhappy. There's not enough money in the world to make those people happy. And so, and if he's kind of doing all this against his will, and his wife wants him, your mom wants him to go travel, and he wants to keep working, there's not anything you can give him that's going to be okay. He's going to be pissed no matter what, because he's already pissed. But if he's really wanting to do this, and he also loves you, and he loves the business that he's helped to run third generation now, then he doesn't need to do something that's going to handcuff the business or handcuff the son that he loves. And so that's the balance. So he actually has to honor those things as much as you want to honor him. But the honor is not a dollar amount. The honor is a posture of your heart. And his too, by the way. So I want to honor Ramsey and honor Daniel Ramsey running this place and honor the EntreLeadership team doing the entree stuff. Right? I want to give them honor, then they give me honor. But that's not a dollar amount. It's not like I have to pay Daniel a certain amount for him to feel honored. If he does, that's not real honor. That's just a transaction. And that's what I mean by you can't make somebody happy, just bound and determined not to be happy. It's not a dollar amount. And, overpaying someone or paying someone something that's ridiculous and him calling that honor, that's not true. That's not truth. So, good question. Good discussion, Sam. Thank you for joining us, my man. Proud of you. Keep it up. It sounds like a great business. $4.2 million, 22 team members, third generation manufacturing in the United States of America. Salute. I love entrepreneurs. Don't forget, guys, I started my company on a card table myself. So I know what it's like to have people counting on you, your team, your family, not to mention your customers. And when you're the one signing the paychecks, you can't afford to fly blind. But I'll be honest, early on, one thing that nearly sunk us was wasting time with spreadsheets that didn't add up because business units didn't talk to each other. I finally told my team, just fix it. And they did. We got NetSuite. That was years ago, and we've never looked back. See, NetSuite isn't just for tech giants. It's built for growing businesses like yours. Over 43,000 businesses already run on NetSuite, including a lot that started just like you. And now with built-in AI, NetSuite is helping them even more. It's one system connected to every part of your business for real-time insights, not guesswork. NetSuite AI flags inventory issues, cash flow risks, even supplier delays before they become problems. So you can trust the data, stop wasting time, and make the right decisions faster. Take a free product tour today at netsuite.com/Ramsey. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey. You wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, so why are you trying to scale your business without one? Here's the truth. Without a plan, you're reacting, you're not leading. And if you're always reacting, you can't build the momentum your business needs to grow. That's why we're giving you EntreLeadership Elite's strategic planning template for free. You'll also get the course that shows you how to use it. In under 30 minutes, you'll learn how to define the future you want and build a plan to grow your business so you can finally get out of reactive mode. No more flying by the seat of your pants, just clear, practical steps that take you from putting out fires to actually growing. Get the strategic planning template today at EntreLeadership.com/strategy or click the link in the show notes. Brandon is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hi, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking my call, and thank you for everything that you do. I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you, sir.
So I'm the owner of a small plumbing company. We've got 11 employees, and we do about $2 million in revenue a year. So I recently had to fire a new employee because he missed 4 days in 4 weeks. My question is, do you
Why did he miss?
Any room for? He had different reasons every time, but he was sick. His daughter was sick. Daughter had to get a tooth pulled, and daughter was sick again. And I guess he
Single
doesn't
dad?
have a wife in the picture.
Do what?
He doesn't have a wife in the picture there.
Okay.
So my question is, do you leave any room for grace in situations like that when you have a new hire that misses work that often right after they're hired?
Yes and no. We have to assess what's going on. And so if this guy's a single dad, he's got a little girl that's been sick, that's one thing. The second thing is that there's a pattern. Taking care of your kid, we'll never fire you for taking care of your kid, okay? We just don't do that. And so there's a lot of grace for that. But if there's a pattern that says, quote, under the heading of taking care of your kid, that you're not working at all, then this isn't going to work because we need you here. And so if this, if you ascertain by looking at the leader, looking at his attitude about it, and just kind of assessing the situation, and you say, well, based on that, it looks like this is going to be the way of life as long as this guy works here, then yeah, I would have let him go. Because you can't, if it's just going to be the rest of the time he works here, he's going to miss a day a week, no, that's not going to work for me. So he's going to have to get a different kind of a job because of his childcare situation, and because this job requires you to be here because we can't do plumbing remote, right? And so, yeah, I would have done that. So anytime we have a team member come to us and say a personal situation is a strain, and are just informing us and letting us know that something's coming, then the first thing I teach entree leaders to do is to assess the scope and the size of the problem. In other words, how much impact is it going to have on them? Okay. A weird example of that is I remember many years ago when I wrote about this, I had a lady walk in my office and tears in her eyes and her lips started quivering as she started talking and tear ran down her cheek. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "My baby's sick." I went, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." And I said, "So what is it?" She said, "The daycare called and they're running a fever. And this is their first week in daycare and this is my first baby." And I went, "Oh, yeah, okay. This is a little separation anxiety here. Mom's not, this is hard to put the kid in daycare, very hard to do that, especially your first baby, and you're taking this little baby over there. And then the first time they call, you're going to run right over there." And so when I'm looking at all that, I kind of smile as the old guy and go, this too shall pass. You're going to get through this, and you're going to get used to this. And by the time you've got 3 or 4 kids, they call from the daycare, you go, "Yeah, we'll be there in an hour or two. We'll get around to it. Be there by the time closing time." But you don't drop everything and run over there like the house is on fire. And so I assessed the situation. I decided it's a small thing, so no big deal, right? Go take care of it. The second one, about 2 days later, another lady walks in my office, same thing, tears in her eyes, lips starts quivering when she said, I said, "What's wrong?" And tear ran down her cheek, and she said, "My baby's sick." And I said, "Oh my gosh." And I'm thinking about the other one, kind of rolling my eyes, but I didn't. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, got cancer. Oh, whole different thing, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And so I said, I called my HR director in. I called her leader in. She was in accounting at the time. And I said, her baby's got cancer. As a team, as a family, we're all getting ready to fight leukemia and beat it. Ready, here, ready, set, go. And those people didn't mow their grass all that summer. Our team did. Those people didn't cook a meal all that summer. Our team did. And she didn't work because you can't do accounting while your kids got chemo. Your brain doesn't work when you're doing that. So she got the whole summer off with pay, because that's what I would want somebody to do for my kid if my grandkid had leukemia, right? And so we treat people like we want to be treated. But that's a lady that had been with us at that time for 4 or 5 years, had not missed a day. This was an extreme situation. And so, and she still works here, by the way, been here 20 years. And if you say something bad about Dave Ramsey, she'll kill you. So, because we were loyal to her and she's loyal to us. And so, assess the size of the problem, and then you can determine whether your company is of size and you can afford the absence and afford to extend the grace or not. You got 10 people. If one of them's not there, you have a 10% drop in production, minimum.
Right.
Maybe a 40% drop or a 30% drop, depending on how many people you got in the field. You don't really have the margin to extend extreme grace. And a day a week, that's pretty extreme. So I would have fired the guy too in your situation, not because I'm a big old meanie, but because his needs in his life right now do not connect with with the needs we have as a company to be able to have him on staff. And so you were not heartless, I hope, but I would not consider you heartless for having done that act. I would have probably done the exact same thing. But what I'm saying about all that whole long, drawn-out story is that assess the size of the need and then say, can our company, can our situation, how much of this can we accept, and is their request reasonable? Or do they have a weird thing going on? And so, like we had a lady that worked here for about 90 days, and then she was having anxiety, and her request was to work from home for the rest of her career. Well, we work at work, so that doesn't work out. So you're going to have to solve your anxiety some other way. And that's not heartless. That's more like your situation, Brandon, where we assess the size and scope of the need, and how does it compare or connect with our needs here and with our ability to extend grace. And we didn't have the ability to extend that kind of grace because it changes the whole culture of our organization. If we start, anybody who's having a bad day with anxiety goes home. That doesn't work because we all have anxiety all day long. It's part of what we do. So,
right.
Yeah, suck it up, Buttercup. And so, but yeah, is that making any sense at all?
Yes, absolutely. If you do decide to extend grace, how do you communicate that with the rest of your team that is seeing that absence?
If it's something that's not shaming, we tell them. So-and-so's kid's got cancer. We're all praying, and they're not going to be here for 90 days because we're going to chemo, and we're paying them, and they're on our team, and we love them. And you should be glad we do stuff like that because it could be you next. And the team does. The team, they like that. But if they think that we're just being weak leaders or something, or too cowardly to confront misbehavior, then that's sanctioned incompetence, and that's bad. You don't want the team feeling that. And if they don't know what's going on, they could think it's sanctioned incompetence. So, as you know, if you say so-and-so's kid's sick, if I've got a team member who's mad because they're not at work because their kid's sick, that team member's in trouble. We want good human beings working here, and childhood illness is something anybody's ever had a kid. It takes your breath away. So even if you hadn't had a kid, so all that. So yeah, I communicate it. But if it's something shaming, if they're having to go in for, I don't know, I've got 2 people right now that have maybe vague, psychological things going on. I'll just leave it at that. And are doing some on-sites. They're they're not in the office, and they're in a getting help on site somewhere. That's about as much as I want to say. So, and that's exactly what I would say to the team too, because the team listens to this. So, but anyway, but I mean, why would I'm not going to shame someone that's trying to get help in that. That's not valuable. We just said so-and-so's working on some stuff. They're not here. And everybody just goes, okay, we trust the team because when we trust leadership because they tell us what's going on, unless it's something that is harmful to the person, and then it's the only time they don't. And so, just lots and lots and lots of grace on that as well. So, Brandon, I'm proud of you. You're asking the right kind of questions. You're why working for a small business is the best place to work in America, because you actually care. You know how much analysis or heartache corporate America would have over that situation? Zero! -2. Caden is with us in Charleston, West Virginia. Hi, Caden. How are you?
Doing good.
How can we help?
Well, Dave, I'm working a small college athletic department, and we're kind of facing a big decision coming up here that's me on the leadership team feels is really necessary, but I know just for a fact on the feelers I put out, it's going to be really unpopular with our staff. So I'm really looking for guidance on how to navigate that.
Okay. Well, I would pick up Pat Lencioni's book, The Ideal Team Player, because he says people need to be hungry, humble, and smart. And there's one of these players missing one of these things that is popular with the staff, and they're called the lovable slacker. Okay? They are humble, and they're smart with people, but they're not hungry. And the staff always loves this person, but they're freaking incompetent. They don't get their work done. They got no drive. They don't put the ball in the end zone, to use your world, right? And so if you don't do that, you can't hang out. And when you fire, as a leader, when you fire the lovable slacker, you feel like that they are loved by the staff, because the lovable slacker goes around and spends a lot of time at everybody's desk being lovable instead of getting their work done. And so they're lovable. But people also know that they don't get their work done. And so you might find something like that to be the dynamic. Like, I think this is going to be unpopular because they like this person, but I'm having to let this person go because they're not getting the job done. Am I reading the mail a little bit?
A little bit. It's kind of the right direction. Basically, the kind of give more context, the decision we're looking at is, so college athletics, we're working within organizations. I feel, and the leadership team feels that, a hard right turn into a different organization and a transition might be beneficial in the long term. The staff is going to see that transition in the short term as painful and as somewhat a step down for them career-wise, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. So you're going to go to a, I don't even know what you're talking about, but I'm going to try to guess and say something. This is not it, I'm sure, because of where you are, but something like we're going to move from the SEC to the ACC.
Yeah, something close to that.
Which in football would be a step down.
right, yeah. So this would be and really this particular step, I've done a lot of research on it. I feel like it'd be more of a lateral step, but it's like the coach is not going to be as revered because they might be looked at as D2 instead of D1. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That's going to be their perception.
Right.
All
because they're just going to see that distinction, and it's going to hurt their egos a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know if this will work. I'm making it up on the spot because that's what we do here. It occurs to me, there's a story in the Bible, and I watched a guy do this in a leadership conference one time, and I've used it a lot, and it's worked well for me. about Nehemiah. He was allowed by the king to go back to the Jerusalem. The walls had been torn down, and so Jerusalem was bare and was, being raided by enemies because they had no walls, and Jerusalem was being plundered because they had no walls, and Jerusalem had all these problems because they had no walls. And so Nehemiah was sent back to Jerusalem with the job, with the mandate, with the certification from the king to allow him to rebuild the walls. And instead of just coming back and blowing trumpets and announcing, which is what you're talking about, we're going to change, we're going to build the walls. Instead, he kind of went on a listening tour and went around and talked to people. He talked to the aristocrats, he talked to the soldiers, he talked to the merchants, and he goes, hey, have y'all noticed that the walls are down? And they said, yeah, the walls are down. In other words, he presented the problem. And he did this, he circled back a couple times to where finally they started saying, hey, have you noticed that the walls are down? They're now saying it to him because you're seeing problems that your team that's going to be disillusioned by this move are not seeing. And you're solutioning for problems that they don't believe are there or they don't know are there. So what if you started telling them, here's a problem. I see a problem. And don't present a solution. Just, I see a problem. We've got this problem because we're in this conference. We have this problem. And do that with several coaches, do that with several staff, the ones you're worried about being disillusioned by the move. And if you have the luxury of time, do it 2 or 3 times and try to get them to come to you and say, hey, have you noticed we have this problem because we're not in that conference or because we're in this conference or whatever it is. And if you can get them to recognize and be problem aware, then you can start to say, I think as the leader, I've got to help you all solve this problem. I think we've got to rebuild the walls. And then Nehemiah started rebuilding the walls, and he had everybody's buy-in because they had become problem aware and they bought into the solution. But if he had just come in and announced, we're building the walls, they were going, why? We don't care about the walls. They're not problem aware. And if you announce this, they're not problem aware. It occurs to me. And so even if you lose the morale of a couple of them over time, I still am going to make them through some methodology problem aware.
Gotcha.
So that then when it does come, they at least know. And also while I'm doing that, somewhere in the conversation going, if we changed, that'd probably be like a blow to your reputation because you'd be a coach in this conference instead of that conference, and that might feel funny to you. And just let them know they're seen.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that part of it.
It takes some of the air out of it if they know they've been heard and they know they've been seen, and it's still going to be an ouchie. And you still might actually completely lose one of them because when you turn the car hard right, sometimes the centrifugal force throws people out of the car.
Right.
They can't hang on to the change, no matter what you do. But if you can make them problem aware, go on a listening tour, try to get them to participate in the solution of the problem, you might actually have one of the ones you're the most worried about come to you and suggest you change conferences if you pull this off with finesse and perfectly. I don't know.
It's definitely good to hear. It's definitely hear an outside perspective on it.
Yeah, the disclaimer is none of this ever works perfect.
Yeah.
Because I don't always do it perfect, and the person on the other end receiving it is like, I don't give a crap. I like where we are. I like my poop. I'm going to sit in it, just like a toddler, right?
Right.
And they'll just sit there in the problem, I know it stinks, but it's mine, and it's like, yeah, sometimes people do that, and there's nothing you can do to fix that. That's just a toddler. And, that goes with it. So you're a great leader to be asking this kind of question, Caden, and, and then still have the courage to square your shoulders, stiffen your backbone, and make the call, because that's what good leaders do, even if people don't understand. But I'm going to do everything I can to do a listening tour, a problem awareness discussion, an involvement by asking questions, and get them to recognize and see what I'm seeing, so at least they go, yeah, he kind of telegraphed that. I knew he was going to throw the pass over there. I knew he was going to do this. But it wasn't like, what the crap? what is Caden doing? You know, and it takes the shock and awe out of it, which is what you want to do. Let the air out of that. So, very cool, man. You're a good man. You're a good leader. Thank you for calling in. I'm honored to have you in our EntreLeadership audience. Hey guys, you can help us out by following the show, subscribing to the show, leaving a nice 5-star review, saying how much you love us. Well, it's fair because we love you, so shut up. Thank you very much. We appreciate all the help. And share the show. Click the share button or cut the little linky thing out and send it to a friend and say, watch this little linky thing. It's worth it. Works for me, guys. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us here. Andrew's in Anchorage, Alaska. Hi, Andrew. What's up?
Hi, Dave. Thank you for taking my call.
My honor, sir. How can I help?
I'm an owner of a small aircraft maintenance business. My revenue last year was $550K. I have one mechanic who works for me, and my wife does the accounting part-time. I have no desire to grow the business, but I have more work than I can do. I have raised my hourly rate as high as I feel fair. I hate saying no to people who need work done. My question is it a good idea to hire another employee if I like working but don't enjoy training or overseeing, and I'm pretty much maxed out in my what I got going on right now with my hours I work?
Choose your pain, brother.
Okay.
Which one you want to do? You didn't say you liked either one of them.
Right. Well, I guess I'm trying to figure out, I guess overseeing the guy that I have now it took me, a couple years to get him trained fairly well, but he still needs some help. But I'm just not sure. Is it okay to keep your business, where it is, or is it better to grow it? I guess. Do you have to grow it? I guess is another question. I guess
you don't have to grow it at light speed, but there needs to be some sense of growth because nothing is stagnant.
Okay.
It's either growing or it's dying. And sometimes you don't see the deterioration because it's internal. And sometimes you don't see the growth because it's so gradual. But I'm going to lean in enough that I create some kind of upward momentum to keep away the deterioration, right? And so, I don't know that necessarily hiring another mechanic is the way to grow, the only way to grow for you. I don't know how you grow, but it occurs to me that you're pretty vulnerable today. If he just decided that he was moving to Omaha, your current mechanic, you're screwed.
Yeah. I definitely have more work than I can keep up with on my own.
Already.
Yep.
You already are working more hours than you want to. And so having two of them creates a more sustainable, peaceful situation. And so it's almost as if you could say, in order to have a more stable platform to run this thing from, meaning that, I don't lose the only means of production other than me, I'm going to put on another one for that reason alone. And then also we're going to make more money. The downside is my trade-off is for more stability, I'm having to do something I'm not that fond of, which is training up another dude.
Yep. Okay, I guess I didn't quite look at it like that. So that makes sense. Like if I hire another guy, like what do you typically see for your ROI on an employee? Like what should I be thinking about there?
You guys bill by the hour, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're billing the other guy out for more than he costs.
Yep.
Same deal.
Okay.
I'm going to bill him out at the same rate.
Okay.
And, he may not be as efficient. It may take a year for him to do the repair and the customer interaction and whatever else the way you would. You may have to train him you may have to train him a little bit on actually being an aircraft mechanic. You may have to train him also on how to do it your way.
Yep.
Like we have people come in here that know how to do the thing, but we want them to do the thing the Ramsey way. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that is bothersome, but you gotta give yourself a little emotional margin and say, okay, the trade-off is I'm going to be a little bit frustrated with catching this guy up, but the return is that I'm not as vulnerable to one of them walking in and quitting or walking in and demanding double pay or some crap, which you'd have to fire the guy then, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so then you'd be back to square one and messed up again. So, yeah, I think I'm going to look at doing it, and or it might be you do it after you raise prices or before you raise prices again. And I mean, I don't. A fair price is what you charge and someone else will pay.
Yep.
That's a fair price, because
I
they as long as you didn't lie to them and you said this is so much, an hour is what we charge, and if you want to do your work somewhere else, you might get it cheaper. But this is who we are, and we do excellent work, and we're going to be on time, and your aircraft's going to be back up and serviceable again and back in the air, airworthy again. And this is what we do, and it's who we are, and we're not trying to be the cheapest. And they say, well, that's too high. You go, I know, but it's, I've got to hire mechanics. I got to keep inventory on here. My wife does the books. We're not a big operation. This is who we are. And some customers may elect to move on, and others, but every other customer that stays is going to be a more profitable customer, and you're going to be glad that you have them. And again, you mentioned earlier you'd raised your prices, and that had lowered some of your volume. I would do that again, is what I'm saying, and I would look at hiring someone, but gradually. You don't have to do all of this in the next 4 days. There's nothing on fire here, but all we're saying is you're gently taking off. You're gently moving towards growth rather than gently deteriorating.
Okay, that's some really good advice.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
So gentle that 10 years from now it may look like you haven't moved much.
Right.
That's okay, but you have, and you're leaning in. Your weight is on that right foot. Your weight is on that lean forward foot, and that's the kind of thing. But it is not required that you have 25 employees to call yourself successful from one. Or to call yourself a good business person. No, you've defined what you want your business to look like. It's supposed to bring you joy and serve your customers. And so I'm good once it does that. And I like your attitude about it a lot. So very good. Very good. Very cool call, Andrew. And Anchorage, Alaska. By the way, last time I was up in Alaska, they told me this interesting stat. Andrew's in the right business. More people have pilot's license than driver's license. Because you can't get anywhere by car. And so they jump in a little plane of some kind and go everywhere. And I did it. I jumped in a little plane, did all kinds of stuff when I was up there. Not flying myself, but I was in the passenger seat. But everybody's got a dadgum plane. It's crazy. And so he's in the right business. It's amazing. So very, very cool. All right, folks, that about wraps it up. Remember, better a weary warrior than a quivering critic. This world needs more high-quality leaders. So take courage and lead. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Thank you for joining us on EntreLeadership.